In multiplying polynomials, the important thing to remember is that we have this is called a binomial because there's two terms. So binomial, so think of 1 and 2. And this is also a binomial. So when we're multiplying these two binomials, basically what we have to do is we have to look at how they can all interact, starting with the first one, right? So these first terms, but please keep in mind that it doesn't matter the order in which you do these. So FOIL is the very common way that we talk about first, outer, inner, and last. That's what we use that terminology in mathematics a lot. But please keep in mind that you can multiply these terms in any order, but it is nice to just go first terms, right? So that's the first. So that would be a times a. So that's a squared. A times a is a squared because a written by itself is the same thing as a to the first power, right? But we don't do that in math. We don't typically want to write a number to the first power with the first power there. We just assume when you see the number by itself or the letter by itself that it is in the first power. So that's how we get the first term here. A times a. So that's a squared. Then we have a times 4. That's this a times this 4. So you're basically multiplying the outer terms, right? A and 4. So that becomes a times 4, which is 4a. And then this negative 4 over here is going to multiply this a. So that becomes negative 4 times a, which is negative 4a. And then the last terms are the negative 4 and the 4. So negative 4 times 4, which is negative 16. So we have a squared plus 4a minus 4a minus 16. So basically you're adding up all these values that you got, right? The a squared, the 4a, the minus 4a, and the negative 16. You add these all up together, and the answer you get is going to be, you have to add like terms, right? And then the answer you get will be the answer. So notice 4a and minus 4a, this will go away. So you're left with a squared minus 16. That will be the answer to that particular problem. So let's look at a few more problems on this. If we have x minus 3, so if we have x minus 3 times x plus 3, let's use the same principle. Again, FOIL is what is used, but please note that you could multiply these two first if you wanted. Again, in general, math classes like to use the FOIL approach, which is the first term. So x times x, so x times x, which is x squared. And then the next one is the outer term. So this x and that positive 3. X times positive 3 is 3x. And then we have the inner terms. Negative 3 times x, which is negative 3x. And the last terms, which is negative 3 times 3. And that equals negative 9. So now we have to add like terms. Now remember, like terms are variables in the same power. First, you have to be the same variable, and then you have to be in the same power. In this case, we have x and x here in the first power, right? But this x squared is not a like term of the x. So the final answer will be x squared, right? Notice that this is positive 3 and this is negative 3, and that's going to go away. And so you're left with x squared minus 9. So that's the answer to this particular problem. Let's try another example. If we have 8m plus 5 times 8m minus 5. So in this case, these two will multiply 8m times 8m. So 8m times 8m, and that's equal to 64m squared. And then you have 8m times negative 5. So that's negative 40m. And then 5 times 8m. So that's 40m. And then the last one is 5 times negative 5, which is negative 25. So now we add like terms again. Notice a pattern though. Notice that the negative 40 plus the 40 is just going to go away. So you're left with 64m squared minus 25 as the answer to this problem. So the first terms, outer terms, inner terms, last terms. You can do it that way. That's the approach using FOIL. It's the same approach you would use for any situation with a binomial. What if someone says p plus 7 squared? Well, that's the same thing as p plus 7 times p plus 7. So you do the first terms, p squared, right? Because that's p times p. And then the p times 7 is 7p. And then this p times 7 again is 7p. And then 7 times 7 is 49. So you have p squared plus 7p plus 7p plus 49. So that's equal to p squared plus 14p plus 49. That's how we will do this last problem. If you have any questions, let me know. These are just some examples to help us look at how we multiply these binomials. And we can go from there and looking at other types of multiplication. Thank you and have a wonderful day.